Guess who's back? Okay, so now I'm back. It's been a very long time. My last video was in like Christmas and I was making gingerbread cookies. So today we're gonna do something which I've been meaning to do for a long time, which is a life hacks video. I think I mentioned this before. So today's video is gonna be top 10 tips on IB revision and everything about IB because exam season is coming up. So the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I know a lot of you guys are also in the same boat as me. So I wanted to just show you like my exam techniques, tips, whatever you want to call it, towards how I tackle the exams and how I go about my revision. So yeah, I hope you guys find these tips really useful, and if you guys have even better tips, please leave a comment down below. Okay, so tip 1, I cannot stress this enough. I have had to go online and search for all the different syllabuses, or syllabi I guess, on all the different subjects that I take. So recently I got the econ syllabus, the math syllabus, and also the physics syllabus. I only got this because I needed to know which parts of the syllabus were SL and which were HL, because I was originally doing HL and then I decided not to do HL anymore. So my teacher didn't really tell me which parts were in HL or SL, so I needed to consolidate that. So what I did was this. I made like an Excel sheet kind of thing, but on Google Docs, and like I separated into like the 4 main categories, and then I wrote down all of the key components that I need to know. I just managed to like take out all of the HL stuff that I didn't need to learn. I've done the same thing for like physics, I've done the same thing for maths. And so the reason why these top bits, like the sections, are colored is just to show which bits I'm like pretty happy with and which bits I'm not so happy with. So for example, like trig and circular functions, that one I need to like do some semi-revision, or the bits that I really need to work on, for example, like discrete maths, which is like our options. So just finished learning it, so I need to like revise on that more, for example. And I think this is just really good because it just condenses all the information down into one thing, and so the blue thing means I've done it already. I can like tick it off and go, yep, now I understand that, and then I can just move on to the next thing. Okay, so for tip 2, you guessed it, Slipin Cue Cards. I find cue cards pretty useful, mostly because I have to take a ferry to go to school and I have to take lots of transportation. So instead of lugging my laptop, I can just take these and I can just flip through them right before the exam and go, oh yeah, I totally remember the SI unit for energy or something. Like, it's just something really easy to remember, and then you can like highlight stuff on it. Like, this is my physics one right now. It's pretty extensive. I've just kind of like used colors to try and highlight things, and it helps to memorize like definitions. I did for my Spanish oral, so I put all the questions on it. On the other side, it was like what I would, you know, an ideal answer would be for like a set question or something. Tip 3, it would be to make a revision schedule. So I got this from Cotton On, and it's kind of like my daily planner. So I've kind of like highlighted the days and then said like, okay, so Monday I'm dedicating that to physics, Tuesday I'm dedicating that to English, Wednesday I'm dedicating it to like something else. My camera really doesn't want to cooperate. So Sunday I'm doing maths, physics, you know, that kind of thing. And yeah, I've just found it really useful because I mean, I did have a technique in GCSE called the Pomodoro technique. I don't know if you guys have heard of that. It's like a weird tomato thing. So every 45 minutes you stop your revision and then you relax for 15 minutes and then you go back at it. And that can work for people who get bored really easily. I kind of like sticking with the task and just doing it for as long as I can. But that's just me. I think, you know, I'm a very strange person, so don't take my advice. Only take my advice with like a grain of salt. So do what's best for you. Tip 4, it would definitely be to get your hands on some past papers, and also the mark schemes if possible. I think it's better to print out the past papers first and then do the past papers. Hopefully you can do it in like a time situation. I know HL like subjects are 2 hours long, so it is really difficult to find a time where you can just sit down for 2 hours straight and try and put yourself in exam conditions. Especially if you're trying to do it at home, it can be really difficult. But it's just good to know what you can do within the 2 hours, and then you get like a realistic judgment of how you can do in the actual exam. Recently I've been trying to do it in 2 hours, or I've just been breaking it up. Like for example, maths, there are 2 sections. So I've been trying to do section A in like 1 hour because, you know, you should be able to do it in like half the time. And then section B in another hour because I only get like an hour chunks every so often. Or if you're not ready to sit down and do like a full 2 hour exam or 1.5 hour exam, then by all means just try and do it without the time. I did that with my first past papers because I didn't really get into the groove of doing past papers, and you have to kind of understand what the examiner wants from you in terms of the mark scheme. So it's good for you to do the question and then refer to the mark scheme afterwards and see how many marks you're getting from it, or what the examiner is like exactly looking for, because maths and physics and all the other sciences can be really technical. It's just good practice to know what the examiner is looking for. Make sure you look after you do the question, not like during or beforehand, because then it's just pointless, if you know what I mean. Tip 5. This is probably one of the most important tips that I've had to like learn myself, and that is knowing when to get help. Since maths and physics are my most important things, especially maths, since HL maths is pretty difficult, I've had to get tutoring lessons for the past year, so I only did it in year 13. I think getting tutoring was probably the best decision of my life. So if you are currently in year 12 and you're debating whether to get tutoring or not, I highly recommend getting tutoring, because I mean, I know it's like a lot of money. I'm the kind of person who would say like, do not do it because it's a waste of time. Like, didn't do tutoring before mostly because I was too stubborn. Tutoring was always like a hard thing to get myself into, and like I begged my parents to get the tutoring for me. It pays off. Like honestly, I went from getting like 4s in HO maths to freaking 6s. Like, it's so helpful, and I can't recommend it anymore. And step 6. That means to get rid of any distractions that you have. And I am the biggest culprit of not being able to get rid of my distractions. Hence why I'm making this video when I really should be revising. Even though I did do revision before this, but I'm kind of cheating myself. So one of the biggest distractions, obviously, is your mobile phone, so make sure you get that away. I have a cover on top of it, so then I definitely can't see anything. I turn all the vibration, all the color stuff off, so that, you know, I can't even be tempted to look at anything. The other thing that I get distracted by is making food. If I get hungry, oh my goodness, I just want to get up and just cook, and then I end up cooking for like an hour, and then I waste so much time. So do like one of those big recipes, make like a huge pasta bowl, and it could be for your family later or whatever, but then at least you can just keep going back and having small meals, and then you can't like just stop and forget about revision. I mean, the good thing about it is if you leave all of them to the last minute, then when you're in the summer, when you literally have nothing to do, binge watch all your TV shows, and you will be so happy. Like, I'm just so excited to do that. You know, if you're obsessed with The Walking Dead, friggin' watch it. It's The Walking Dead. So step 7, I don't really do this myself, but you can create like a study playlist. I know a lot of people who I know, especially my friends, they like revising with music, but I'm kind of the person who gets really distracted when I start listening to music, or like if I have like a TV on or something. So I try to keep it like as quiet as possible. But if you are one of those people who likes listening to music or having something else on, then make sure you get music that's like instrumental versions of the music. And this is one of my friend's suggestions. It's actually really useful, and sometimes I do it if it's like ridiculously quiet and it's like scary quiet, you know, that moment where it's just you have to put something on, like a fan or whatever. One of my really good friends starts listening to like white noise or rain or like static sounds and stuff just to block everything else out, which is pretty good. So step 8 would be to probably get yourself into like a good study group, like with your friends, people who are doing like the same subjects as you. My physics teacher actually recommended this to me because you can do, for example, a lot of the past papers together online. So if you go on Skype, you could do the same like multiple choice paper in physics, and then you could go through each question and say what you would put down, and then later check what the actual mark scheme was. So that's pretty useful. If not, you can meet up, you know, in real life and go to like some place and do some studying. The only worry with that, like even my mom says it's probably not a good idea, because if you are with your friends, then you can get like pretty distracted, and you can end up like going out to eat and not really revising that much, and be like, oh, I'll revise later. But this is probably the most important time of your life. Like, it's deciding the rest of your future, so make sure you're making the right decision for yourself. If you can't revise in a study group, which sometimes I really can't revise in a study group because I'm just gonna get distracted, then it's probably better to just do what's best for you, basically. So step 9 will be on how to handle exam stress. So recently what I've been doing up to my exams is trying not to pull one of those all-nighters the night before, because my dad said that if you don't understand it the night before, then you probably won't understand it the next day. So it's probably not a good idea to cram the night before. If anything, it's probably futile because you need sleep. Otherwise, you won't be able to perform that well in the exam. And right before the exam, try and solve one of these things. And recently I've learned how to do the Rubik's Cube. Obviously I learned the 3x3, and the 4x4 is just like a little bit of a step up. And found that learning the Rubik's Cube has really helped calm me down right before the exam, because if in the exam you start freaking out and thinking, oh, I really can't understand this question, or like, and it's the first question, and you start like you know, getting really over dramatic about the whole thing, thinking, oh, I'm gonna fail and oh, the rest of the exam's gonna be horrible and stuff. Well, I think back to solving this Rubik's Cube and going, actually, hang on, if I can't solve this question, I went through this whole mess and like I can solve a Rubik's Cube, which a lot of people can't really solve. So it makes you feel better about yourself, and then you'll just have more confidence going into the exam thinking, well, I can already problem solve this. No question's gonna pop up and be like, I can't solve that. So it's just, I don't know, for me it's a good confidence booster. If you guys can find something that can boost your confidence right before your exam, then that'd be good. Another point just before the exams, if your friends are the kind of friends who like freak out a lot and are super negative before the exam, do not surround yourself around them. Just go off in a corner, solve a Rubik's Cube, and you will be fine. Okay, and finally step 10 is to know when to relax. This right now, me making this video, me editing this video later, is going to be my time to relax after doing all the revision for the past, like, I don't know how many weeks, a ridiculous amount of time. So I like this creative outlet to, you know, help me relax, and everyone needs to relax every so often. You can't relax like maybe every 5 minutes, but relax as often as you can. And don't try and overstress yourself, overwork yourself, because that's just when things are going to go through one ear and then straight out the other, and you're really not going to understand anything. Just take your time. If you need to sleep, sleep. If you need a nap, nap. If you want to eat, eat. Be smart about how you do it. You can plan ahead, make food beforehand like I said before, and you will be absolutely fine. Okay, so those were my top 10 tips of being able to survive IB exam season. I know that this is a very stressful time and I'm on the verge of getting stressed, but you know, using these tips will probably lower the amount of stress. And if you guys have any good ideas, please make sure to leave them in the comments below. Let me know. If you do know me in real life, let me know your ideas of handling IB stress. Just want to say good luck to everyone who's doing the exams. I hope you all do well. Use these tips, use your own tips, and you will all be fine. In the end, que sera sera, which means whatever will be, will be. If you don't do well, you don't do well. If you do well, you do well. That's it. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye! Hi guys, so welcome back to my second video for my channel. I wanted to do a baking video, so today I'm going to be baking some gingerbread cookies. I made some last year